Welcome to the Default Podcast and Default Nation. Today, I'm doing a solo episode because here's the thing. As business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, we buy into too many myths. And one of the myths, the skills that create a business, they're definitely not the same as the ones to grow the business. And they're certainly not the same to eventually sell it or have a liquidity event. Because after all, and here's a rhetorical question. You know me, I love my rhetorical questions. How do you master a game you've never played before, especially when it comes to your business exit? Do you really want to be that guinea pig on yourself, on your business, for your life's work when your legacy and financial freedom is on the line? So today, let's do a deep dive into one of the most powerful and misunderstood topics in business, what it really takes to achieve a successful liquidity event. And go back to my story. I started my e-learning company out of my parents' attic. I had no money. I had no experience. I had no team. Failure became my new best friend. Thankfully, my grit, my passion kept me in the game long enough to become successful. And with that success, I received a knock at the door. It was from a Fortune 10 company, a seven-figure offer. Now, my friends and family, they were excited. Jeffrey, look at this. You can move out of your parents' attic. But I said no. The friends and family said, Jeffrey, we knew you were crazy, but now you're certifiable. But instead, I said yes to how do I both grow a business and later on sell a business on my terms for not just any deal, but the best absolute deal. Because most business owners, they dream of a life-changing exit, but the harsh reality is, and the statistics say it all, up to 90% of business exits fail. And think about this, whether you're attracting investment capital into the business or you're having an exit, most business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, they're leaving 50% to over 100% of the deal value in the investor's or buyer's pocket. Look no further than yours truly. Had I said yes to that seven-figure offer, I would have said no to that nine-figure exit that was waiting for me from this crazy system that I created, but I didn't know the nine-figure exit was there. It was around the corner. It was over the bend. I couldn't see it, but it was definitely there. The buyer saw it. I just didn't see it because, again, how do you win at a game you've never played before? We're not prepared. So let me say this now. Hope is not a strategy. Preparation is everything. And I know this because I've been there. My nine-figure liquidity event, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't luck. It was a result of a relentless commitment to preparation, a proven system I created that's now helping countless entrepreneurs with lessons that I learned the hard way, lessons from the trenches. So in this solo episode, I'll pull back the curtain today to share the strategies, the insights, and the battle-tested principles that made all the difference and how you can do the same and apply them to your business. What you're about to hear isn't fluff. It isn't theory. It's the blueprint. It's the system I wish I had when I was starting out. So if you're serious about unlocking the massive wealth that's already hiding in your business, you're in the right place. And this episode isn't just about learning. It's about transforming how you think about your business, your exit, and your post-exit life. So stick with me because you won't want to miss a single moment. Let's dive in. And before we start the episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth and the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Sanjay, a graduate of Deep Wealth Mastery, and he says, the investment I made in the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it's a rounding error compared to the value created today and the future value I'll receive. Or how about William, who says, and I love this, a company that's attractive to sell is also a great one to own. The Deep Wealth Mastery Program gives me the best of both worlds. Now, speaking of growth and adding value, check out what Leon says. He says that the Deep Wealth Mastery Program changed how and who we hire. We've now begun to hire talent today that we never would have hired if it weren't for the program. The talent we're hiring today is helping both increase our growth and profits and our future enterprise value. Man, I love that kind of feedback because it's that kind of feedback that's what gets me out of bed every day. Deep Wealth Mastery System, it's the only system based on a nine-figure deal. That was my deal. And as you know, I said no to a seven-figure offer, created a system that we now call Deep Wealth Mastery. And that's what helped myself and my business partners welcome from a different buyer, a different offer, a nine-figure deal. So if you're interested in growing your profits, preparing for a future liquidity event, whether that's 2 years away or 22 years away, and if you want to optimize your post-exit life, Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. Please email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. We'll send you all the information about Deep Wealth Mastery, otherwise known as the Scale for Ultimate Sales System. That's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you who are looking to create market disruptions. Whether you're a startup, whether you've been in business for 3 or 4 decades, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're high tech, SaaS, low tech, whatever the case may be, come in and network with other business owners, with other businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. Again, that's a 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program. It has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Let's talk about setting the scene, the journey to the exit. Before we get into the strategies and the lessons that paved the way for my 9-figure liquidity event, let's take a step back to where it all began. Because here's the truth. Deals like that, they don't just happen, they're built. If you think a 9-figure exit is a result of luck or timing or being in the right place at the right time, hey, this is your wake-up call. So let me be honest with you. I didn't always have it figured out. As I jokingly say, if I had $1 for every mistake I made, I wouldn't have needed my 9-figure business exit. In the early days, I was deep in the trenches of my business. I was working in it instead of on it. I was a bottleneck, the firefighter, and quite frankly, my business's biggest liability. Does this sound familiar? Even if you have a management team, are all the major decisions running through you? Here's the harsh truth. No buyer wants to acquire chaos. Buyers want a machine, a business that runs seamlessly with or without the owner. And at the time, I didn't really know this. I didn't understand this. I thought that the passion, long hours, and my determination were enough to build a valuable business. But here's the reality. I was unknowingly leaving millions on the table. The gut-wrenching realization forced me to confront a pivotal question. And that one question changed everything. Am I building a business that someone would want to buy or invest in? Or am I just building a job for myself? And that moment was my turning point. I realized I needed to stop running my business like a passion project and start treating it like the valuable asset that it could be. The shift, believe me, it wasn't easy and it didn't happen overnight, but it was the most important shift I ever made. So let's talk now about the turning point, building an asset, not a job. So I began to focus on creating systems, processes, and a team that could operate independently of me. It wasn't just about making the business run smoother. It was about making it scalable, predictable, and irresistible to a buyer. In fact, today, when you fast forward, I use all these fancy terms. The Deep Wealth Mastery Program, our 90-day program that teaches you from the trenches all the strategies that worked. We reverse the strategies that didn't work, so you have those as well. So now in the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, this transformation starts with step 1, big picture, and it builds momentum with step 4, mastering the art and science of due diligence. It's all about seeing your business not as an extension of yourself, but instead as an investment. And that's the difference between creating a job and creating generational wealth. So let's now fast forward to the day that I decided to sell with myself and my business partners. When that day came to sell, I was ready. My business partners were ready. The market conditions were right. My business was prepared and I had a clear, actionable plan in place. But let me be clear, it didn't just happen. It happened because I made it happen. It was the result of years of preparation, the right strategies, and yes, learning from my many mistakes. And here's why I'm sharing this with you. If I can do it, that kid in the attic, no money, no experience or team, so can you. The steps I took weren't reserved for some elite group of business owners. They're universal best practices. They're principles that work for anyone willing to put in the time and the effort. So as we dive into the lessons that made all the difference, I want you to keep one thing in mind. Success is not an accident. It's the result of preparation, strategy, and execution, and it starts today, not tomorrow. So let's dive in. I'll now reveal the top lessons learned. And when we dive into the top lessons that turned my liquidity event into a 9-figure success story, again, these lessons aren't just theories. I can't emphasize that enough. When you look out there in the marketplace, there's lots of, and I'm using air quotes, solutions out there. But these solutions are done by people who have never been there. They haven't done that. Deep Wealth Mastery, the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, is the only system based on a 9-figure exit deal. The system is made of battle-tested principles that are forged in the trenches of real-world business success. Your business exit, your liquidity event, it could be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away. These strategies will not just maximize business value, but they'll help you create a legacy that lasts. In my books, preparation is not optional. It's the foundation of success. If you show up unprepared, and that's exactly how I was when I spoke with that buyer with a 7-figure offer, Well, your liquidity event, you're putting it at risk and you are leaving millions, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars on the table, or worse, you're walking away with nothing. Again, remember that 90% failure rate, up to 90% of business exits and liquidity events fail. Buyers will only pay top dollar for businesses that are proven and predictable, not potential. So preparation starts with financial clarity. Clean up your books and ensure that every number will stand up to scrutiny. Next, build a team that operates independently of you. Remember, buyers aren't interested in a job. They want a business that thrives without you, the founder, the business owner. And lastly, you want to systematize everything from onboarding to operations, ensuring that your business runs like clockwork and everything is documented. In the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, preparation is at the core. So steps like step 4, due diligence done right, and building your team of trusted advisors. Step 6, ensure that when you enter the marketplace, you're not gambling, you're playing to win. In fact, you're not leveling the playing field, you're tilting the playing field to your advantage. The second lesson, you must know your value and own it. If you don't know what your business is worth, the buyer will, and you won't like their numbers, tell you what it's worth. They'll try and compare you to the industry comparables. But when you do it right, it's like comparing apples to Cadillacs. You just can't do it. You can show why you're the only one in your category and why that valuation is going to be the top of the top. And when you think about valuation, it's not just about profits. On this very podcast, I've had business valuators, and they all say the same thing. Up to 80% of a business's valuation, it's based on the narrative. The profits, the numbers, the financials, the hardcore data comes later. Now, if you're a logical person, if you're a numbers person, I know that's a big pill to swallow. And this is why the Deep Wealth system, we are both in the art and the science of growing a business and having a liquidity event and business exit, because it's about positioning your business as a premium investment. So let's start with a professional valuation to uncover your strengths and weaknesses. You don't want to stop there. You want to highlight your intangibles, things like customer loyalty, market positioning, intellectual property. And in the Deep Wealth system, we call this step 2, X factors that insanely increase the value of your business. And your X factors, that's your secret sauce that elevate your business from good to great in the eyes of buyers and investors. And in fact, some of your X factors, they are so unique and you are world-class in those areas that they go from being an X factor to a Rembrandt hidden in the attic that we're going to take out for public display. And it's these X factors, these Rembrandts, they do not show up on a profit and loss or a balance sheet. Again, welcome to the art side of business and the art side of a liquidity event. And that's why in step 2, X factors, you're finding them. And by the way, if you think that your business is the same as every other business, think again. Every business has at least 3 to 5 X factors that are unique to you. But the problem is the challenges, or instead of problem or challenge, I'll use the word opportunity. It's there for you to uncover because they're hidden. But once you uncover that, you'll create narratives that you'll share with all of your stakeholders. That's what I love about the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery system. Once I figured this out, we not only grew the business, we're preparing for a future exit where the enterprise value was catapulted. Now, the third lesson I want you to think about, it's all about systems and processes. These are your greatest asset. Here's a harsh truth that many business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders, they learn too late. Chaos doesn't sell. A business that's reliant on the owner isn't a business at all. It's simply a job. Buyers want a well-oiled machine that runs seamlessly with or without you. Believe it or not, and you better believe it, for most buyers and investors, they picture the business without you. Yes, the business without you. Now, in their mind, if they see that business falling apart the very next day after the deal is done, well, there is no deal, or they'll do a deal, but, and it's a big one, they'll put a huge penalty on enterprise value. So early on in my journey, I was in every part of my business. You name it, sales, operations, customer service. It was not sustainable. I had to create systems for everything. What happened? What was the result? Well, not only did my business run better, but its value skyrocketed. And I know what you're saying. Well, Jeffrey, if I hire other people to replace me, if I'm going to fire myself, they're not going to be as good as me. And that's exactly the point. No one will ever be as good as you in most areas. In other areas, in fact, they will be better than you. But even if someone is 70%, 80% as good as you run with that because it frees you up. You lose the golden handcuffs. You unshackle yourself. You have now a scalable ideal system. Your business is growing while you're sleeping. And this aligns very nicely with step 4, mastering the art and science of due diligence. Systems and processes aren't just about efficiency, they're about scalability. And scalability is what buyers pay for. And that's actually a great segue for the 4th of 6 lessons. And lesson 4, timing is everything. Even the best business in the world, well, you're going to make mistakes. It can falter. And if it's sold at the wrong time, the enterprise value, it's going to realize that. It's going to show that. So timing isn't about luck. It's about recognizing when the odds are in your favor. Now, you can't time the market. Anyone that tells you can time the market, run. Run as fast as you can in the opposite direction. But what you can do is you can prepare and you can time when you do go into the market. So when I was preparing for my exit, I looked at industry trends, economic conditions, and buyer activity. And this strategic timing turned what could have been an average deal into an exceptional one. In fact, in step 7, timing and execution, you learn how to read the market and how to align your business exit, your liquidity event, with peak conditions. Now, the 5th lesson, relationships build deals, not spreadsheets. Your relationships with the buyers, with the advisors, and yes, even competitors can make or break your business exit or liquidity event. Trust and transparency, that's what paves the way for better negotiations and stronger deals. In fact, in the world of M&A, the currency, it's trust, it's not money. If a future buyer or investor can trust you, when you make a mistake, yes, I promise you, you will make mistakes in your exit, in your liquidity event. But when you have that trust, the other party will say, well, you know what? Jeffrey has said what he's going to do. He does what he's going to say. Okay, he made a mistake here, but everything else he's been spot on. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. And during my exit, I treated buyers as future partners, not adversaries. It wasn't a zero-sum game where I won, they lost, or they won, I lost. How to equate not just a win-win, but a win-win-win. And that includes the future buyer or investor. It includes you. It also includes all your stakeholders. And this mindset turned potential conflicts into collaborative solutions, creating a win-win-win for all involved. In fact, step 6, winning mindset, this is where you learn the importance of trust, clarity, and collaboration in every interaction. Now, the 6th lesson, how do you prepare for that emotional roller coaster? And I got to share with you, I had heard in advance, hey, Jeffrey, a business exit, a liquidity event, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, but that ego that was speaking to me, my ego said, oh, yeah, whatever. I'm prepared. Hey, I do all these business negotiations. I'm in stressful situations. It's not a problem. Guess what? Couldn't have been more wrong. No one really talks about the emotional side of selling your business, but I got to tell you, it's absolutely real. You're not just selling a company. You're parting with a piece of yourself, and it's bittersweet, and at times it can be overwhelming. In my case, I leaned on mentors, friends, advisors, and I'm very spiritual. So for me, God, maybe some people call it the universe, whatever you like to call it, and that really helped me navigate the emotional ups and downs. And this is why the Deep Wealth System emphasizes preparation, not just for your business, but for you. As we say in step 9, your post-exit life, your liquidity event isn't the end. It's actually the beginning of your next chapter. These 6 lessons, they don't just lead to a 9-figure deal. They do, though, transform how you approach business and life. They're the same principles embedded into the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, a proven system, the only system based on that 9-figure exit deal, my deal, that helps you create a thriving business today. And with all that said, it's a perfect segue for reflecting on the outcome, because I've explored these lessons with you. And now we're going to shift gears and talk about the outcome. Because in business, as in life, the end of one chapter is the beginning of another. When I close a deal and my 9-figure liquidity event became a reality, I expected to feel nothing but elation. And don't get me wrong, there was plenty of that. Relief, excitement, pride. But there's something else too. There was an unexpected emptiness. Believe it or not, in the beginning, I did not find my happily ever after. After all, who's going to feel sorry for a guy sitting in his pajamas who wants to go out and play, but everyone else is busy with their lives, their businesses, their careers? You don't get that empathy. In fact, no one really understands that. And that's why in Deep Wealth Mastery, before you even get to step 1, we talk about the post-exit life. Because after my exit, after my liquidity event, when I began speaking with other entrepreneurs who achieved similar, even better exit results, I found the same thing with them. They also missed their happily ever after. Selling your business is not just about the money. It's about letting go of something that's been a part of you, your rituals, your momentums. You know what you're going to be doing each day, each week, each month, quarter, year, decade. The list goes on and on. Because for years, my business wasn't just what I did, it was who I was. And suddenly, that part of me was gone. So, what I want you to think about when you think about the aftermath, the post exit life, it's really a new perspective on success. Here's what I learned: your liquidity event is not the finish line, it's your launch pad. The freedom that came with the sale, yes, it's exhilarating, but it also brought clarity. For a moment, let's put me under the microscope. Let's look at me before the deal closed and after the deal closed. When I woke up day one, the deal just closed, the money was in the bank. Yes, I was excited, I was elated, I was happy. At the same time, I was still the same Jeffrey. I had the same hopes and the same fears that I did the day before. So it's got to be more than just the numbers of zeros in the bank or your success or accolades. You want to build a life of fulfillment because for the first time in years, I can now focus on what mattered most: my family, my health, and the opportunity to give back. Yes, the financial impact, it's life changing. But what meant even more was the legacy I left behind, the systems I built, the relationships I nurtured, and the culture I fostered. They didn't vanish when I exited. In fact, one of the most rewarding things when I look at my exit that comes to mind, after the exit, it had closed. Myself, my business partners, we sat down with certain employees in the business and we gave them a success fee. It was a game changing event for them. There were tears all around for all of us. And that was incredibly fulfilling. And knowing that the business I poured my heart and soul into, it would live on, and that was deeply fulfilling. Emptiness has gone on to do some incredible things. The investors who bought it, they did incredibly well. Later on, they sold the business. Not only did they get their investment back, they made a huge profit, and Emptiness is still out there doing some wonderful things out there in the world. And this is why in the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, we emphasize step 9, your post-exit life. Preparing for your exit is not just about maximizing enterprise value. It's about defining what comes next and creating a life that aligns with your dreams. And when I look back now, it wasn't so clear to me when I was going through the process, but now in the Deep Wealth community, as we work with other entrepreneurs who are saying no to 7-figure deals, 8-figure deals, and doing much better than that, we help them focus in 3 areas. How do you grow your profits today while preparing for a business exit or liquidity event? It could be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away. And at the same time, once the deal has closed, you've already prepared for your post-exit life. In fact, you started that years before, so you're showing up ready. You have momentum. You're realizing fulfillment, joy, happiness. So if I look back, if I look in the rearview mirror, would I do things differently if I had the chance? Well, you know what? Hindsight is always 2020. Maybe I could have started preparing even earlier or spent more time strengthening key relationships. But here's the thing: every mistake, every misstep along the way taught me something invaluable. And the honest truth, my success was waiting for me. I wasn't ready for my future success. So those lessons, they weren't setbacks, they were stepping stones. And one of the most profound insights from my journey is that clarity drives success. When you know what your goals are, your financial, personal, and legacy goals, you don't just sell a business, you craft a narrative that resonates with buyers and open doors for the future. In fact, look no further than the Deep Wealth podcast. When we interview incredibly successful people, these are thought leaders. These are people who have really moved the dial for their legacy, for their business, for their stakeholders. The one common theme when I ask that famous question, if you could tell yourself, your younger self, life lessons or life advice, what would that be? The one common theme is, I wouldn't change anything, Jeffrey. They go on to say that those missteps, those so-called mistakes, that's what actually made them who they are today. And they wouldn't be where they are today if not for those challenges. So in step 1 of the Deep Wealth Roadmap, the big picture, we challenge you to define success beyond numbers. What kind of life do you want to create? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And when you're clear on those answers, every decision from building your team to negotiating your deal becomes more purposeful, because the freedom to choose what's next, That is everything. And for me, the sale wasn't about retiring to a life of leisure. It was about choosing how I spent my time, that I would choose to go where I wanted to go to do what I wanted to do. And there is a huge freedom in that. Now, whether launching new ventures or mentoring other business owners or simply savoring the time with loved ones, I had the freedom to decide. And everyone's journey is different. What works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you, and vice versa. And this is what I want for you. I want your liquidity event not as an endpoint, but as the beginning of a new chapter. And when you prepare the right way, and nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you enroll in the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. You master the strategies. You're not just securing financial freedom, you're unlocking the ability to live life on your terms. And it's a perfect segue for creating a legacy that lasts. Because as business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, we often think of our business as a legacy we leave behind. But the truth is, your legacy goes far beyond the balance sheet. It lives in the lives that you've touched, the opportunities you've created, and the values that you've instilled in your team and your community. There is no comparison. The Emptiness that went into the business exit was a far better company than the one that went into the startup mode or even into that seven-figure offer. And I have to share with you, many years after I wasn't involved in the business, employees, former employees would reach out and they'd say, Jeffrey, thank you so much for the lessons that you shared, the skills that you taught me, the mindset that you mastered me on, because I am now a better person. I'm a better leader. It's added so much more to my life. Thank you. And they took those skills, and those that didn't say an Embinet, they went on to other companies. Maybe they started their own company. Maybe they went to work for someone else. They brought that with them, and they're eternally grateful for that. So your legacy, it truly is the gift that keeps on giving. And when you approach your exit with clarity and intention, you're not just showing up to an investment banker saying, okay, I'm ready, take me to market. Again, that's why 90% of business exits fail, and why most business owners are leaving 50% to over 100% of the deal of value on the deal table. You're not doing that. You're not just selling a business. You're setting the stage for something much bigger. And that's the power of preparation. I know preparation, it's boring. It could be painful at times. You can't do it overnight, but that's the whole point. And that's the promise of the Deep Wealth system. Day over day, you're taking very small steps that over time, when consistently done, add up to huge results. So let me ask you this. What's your vision for your future? What does success look like for you? Not just in terms of numbers, but in terms of impact, freedom, and fulfillment. I've said it before, I will say it again. Success without fulfillment, that's failure. And you don't want that. All the accolades, all the success, all the zeros in the bank, they do not give you fulfillment. You cannot buy happiness or fulfillment. It's so true that money doesn't buy happiness. Now, you may be saying, well, Jeffrey, easy for you to say because you crossed the finish line and you set yourself up for financial freedom. Yes, I can agree with you on that part, but I can also share I've been on both sides. There were times where I didn't have any money. There were times when I did have those zeros in the bank. And in either scenario, money does not buy happiness. Yes, it can be like the oil or the elixir of life. It can make life easier, but in and of itself, it's not going to give you the happiness. That's got to come from within your mindset, your rituals, what you're doing. And when you have a clear vision of your goals, your liquidity event becomes more than just a transaction. It becomes a transformation. So remember, it's never too early to start preparing. It's like that old saying, when was the best time to plant a tree? It was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And on this very podcast, you've heard former investment bankers who are now entrepreneurs. They're starting businesses, and they all say more or less the same thing. Hey, Jeffrey, when I'm starting my business, it's day zero, not even day one. I don't even have any revenue. I'm preparing for my business exit, for my liquidity event, because I know how I prepare will change how I run the business, and how I run the business will change how I prepare for my liquidity event. So the best time is right now to begin that preparation. It doesn't matter, again, if you're months away, or 2 years away, or 22 years away, the time to begin is now. Because when you plan for your future today, you don't just sell a business, you're creating a legacy that endures. So what I want you to think about, the call to action, my closing thoughts, we've covered a lot today, and there's lessons from my 9-figure liquidity event. And the truth is, every one of those lessons could easily be an episode in and of itself. The strategies that made it possible and the reflections that came after. But as valuable as these insights are, they're only as good as the action that you take, or sometimes not take. So if you're still here, you're listening to this podcast, one, a humble thank you. But it also tells me something about you. You're not just any entrepreneur. You're driven, ambitious, and serious about creating wealth, freedom, and impact. So let me be direct. Success does not wait for the perfect time. Dreamers dream, but winners do. Preparation doesn't start tomorrow, it starts today. And I know what you're saying, Jeffrey. I'm busy. I'm too busy. I will find the time tomorrow. But last time I checked, when I looked at every calendar, I never saw tomorrow. If you don't find the time, if you don't make the time today, it's never going to happen. So, your challenge, I want you to take action this week, even today. Whether, again, you're 2 years away or 22 years away, the steps that you take today will determine the deal that you get tomorrow. Are you going to get any deal, or are you going to get the absolute best deal? So here's my challenge. Pick one action that I've shared with you today and commit to implementing it this week. Maybe it's sitting down to evaluate your business's strengths and weakness, the good old SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. We do a lot of that in the 90-Day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Maybe it's going to be taking a look at where you're really strong in and how you can make that even better. Or perhaps you're taking a look at, well, we're not so great in these areas. How do we stop doing that altogether? How do we bring other people in to do that? How can we get some help in those areas? Whatever it is, I want you to go beyond just the financials and begin to uncover step 2, those X factors that insanely increase your enterprise value. Or maybe it's starting the process of documenting a system in your operations to make your business less reliant on you. Perhaps it's reaching out to a trusted advisor or building out your advisory team today, even though you don't need them for a number of years. Whatever it is, don't just think about it. I want you to do it. Now, if you're thinking, well, Jeffrey, that sounds all good, but even you said, how do you master a game you never played before? Well, you're absolutely right. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not sure where to start, I want you to know this, you are not alone. That's exactly why I created this podcast, to share the tools, the strategies, and the real world insights that you need to succeed. That's also why I came out of quote unquote my semi-retirement and created the 90-Day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, the Deep Wealth 9-Step Roadmap, to share what I learned with the entrepreneurial community. Because when you think about it, and this is really what gets me out of bed every day, as entrepreneurs, we make the world go round. We find those painful problems, we solve them, we make life that much better for the world in terms of what we do. And nothing pleases me more when I hear from a graduate of Deep Wealth Mastery how they had a deal of a lifetime and now they're finding a social problem. They're setting up their own fund to really make a difference, solve that problem, and change the lives of people around them. And my own personal ethos is through Deep Wealth Mastery, the Deep Wealth Podcast, all that we do to change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. And here's the best part. You don't have to figure it out on your own. Why not take the first step and email us success@deepwealth.com. Success, you know that, SUCCESS at deepwealth, DEEPWEALTH.com. Email success@deepwealth.com. We'll send you our Deep Wealth 9-Step Roadmap. You can learn all about that. You'll hear from other graduates that have gone through the program and the world-changing insights that they have. You'll see what this is all about. Because whether you have a question, you need guidance, or you're ready to explore how the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, the Deep Wealth 9-Step Roadmap can transform your business, can transform your life, we're absolutely here to help. Success@deepwealth.com. And even if you want to have a call with me, I love speaking with entrepreneurs, founders, business owners to see where they're at and where we can help them to get them from here to there. So again, success@deepwealth.com. And by the way, speaking of paying it forward, let's spread the word. Let's inspire others. If you found value in today's episode, I have one more ask. Share it. Think about another entrepreneur in your network who could benefit from these lessons. Pass it along, because together we'll create a ripple effect where we're helping entrepreneurs unlock deep wealth in their businesses. And the other thing that you can do, why not stay connected to the insights and the strategies that will transform your business and your life? Subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast. You'll never miss an episode. Each week, we bring you game-changing strategies, powerful lessons from the trenches, and actionable insights to help you unlock the deep wealth, not only in your business, but in your life. So press that subscribe button and you'll take one step closer to unlocking the success, the freedom in both your personal and business life. So on that note, thank you so much. A heartfelt thank you for showing up and for being part of the Deep Wealth Nation, a nation of entrepreneurs who refuse to settle for anything less. And remember, preparation is everything. It is truly the gift that keeps on giving. And it's the difference between any deal and the absolute best deal. And as I close this out, know that the decisions you make today will shape your life that you live tomorrow. So start now. Let's unlock your deep wealth together. And as we love to say at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribe, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.